Hi, welcome to CastAndLoose Living Room. I'm Lynne Rosenberg. I am here with Maha Chehlaoui. Maha is a writer, actor, and director, as well as a producer of both theater and film, and a consultant on diversity, equity, and inclusion in entertainment.
So many hats.
All that. You might know Maha as one of the co-founders of the Obie-winning theater company Noor Theater, which produces and develops the work of theater artists of Middle Eastern descent. You might not know her from her role of a lifetime, playing Claire Belcher in her 8th grade production of Steel Magnolias, in which she compared quite favorably to Olympia Dukakis. Do you remember any lines?
Oh, no. But what I do remember is making a really big entrance.
Oh!
From, like, the back of house and came, like, old lady walking. Like, God only knows what I was doing.
Method acting, I think you mean?
Oh, like Daniel Day-Lewis had nothing on me.
Yeah. When I was 13, I played Joyce Heth in Barnum the Musical, who is theoretically a 160-year-old woman.
Nice. Did you have the voice of a 160-year-old woman?
I mean, I think I might have a voice of a 160-year-old woman now.
Yeah.
Lynne, you know where I've been. When I asked Maha what sort of things she would like to discuss today, she mentioned looking at the issues in casting as questions of employment opportunity. So I thought we would take a look at breakdowns that reflect some human resource problems in the industry, and in particular, who is getting paid. But before we discuss payment, let's talk about language. Breakdowns are job listings, and in a job listing, there are certain words that should or should not appear.
Professor Laura Karen, female, any ethnicity, 40s, milfy, hot, calculus professor. Blake's mom, 50 to 54, gorgeous, MILF times 100, brunette with big brown eyes.
Now, I want you to picture reading a job listing for, say, software development, marketing manager, administrative assistant, and picture the recruiter referring to you as a mom they'd like to fuck.
An engineer, I'd like to
An engineer, an EILF, an elf.
An elf.
But at the end of the day, this is a job, right? So you should expect to be compensated. Not all compensation is monetary.
Hooker. Description. She's a hooker. Need I say more? Wardrobe. Pumps. 2 short shorts, 2 tight tank. Rate. Meal, credit, copy. Chance to redeem yourself. I'm sorry.
It's real. It's from a few years ago, but it's real. When not being paid in redemption opportunities, you might be paid in exposure.
Appearance in this festival practically guarantees future theatrical roles, and both agents and theater reviewers will attend these performances. Therefore, it promises great exposure. No pay.
I've been in that.
I've been in festivals where I've paid to be in them.
Yeah. Have they ever panned out to agents, managers, and exposure?
No.
Your pay scale might be determined by your gender.
Compensation and union contract details pays $150 a day for the role of John. Brenda and Tammy's roles are not paid, but food and travel costs will be covered.
So you don't have to cook for yourself in the kitchen.
Because that's, I think, where Brenda and Tammy probably belong.
There might be spectacular irony involved in your compensation.
Casting for gender wage gap awareness ad campaign, non-union, no pay!
That's one of my favorites of all time.
This is deeply triggering. Look, if you're not a white person, you often end up working on pieces that are about equality and social justice and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, come work for us for 3 weeks for $150, and we're going to explore
how hard it is for you to get work.
Yeah, or like some play about the injustice of the American dream or the American system or the American whatever, and it's like,
Yep. Yeah, you're perpetuating the problem you're talking about. I mean, I think that's technically irony. I'm not always sure about the definition.
I think that's irony.
Yeah. Lastly, your pay scale might be determined by your race.
Tara, lead, Caucasian, 300 a day. Stefan, lead, Caucasian, 300 a day. Laura, supporting, Hispanic, ethnically ambiguous, 250 a day. Stacy, supporting, African American, 250 a day. Doctor, supporting, all ethnicities, 100 a day. Receptionist, featured, all ethnicities, 100 a day. Medical assistant, supporting, all ethnicities, 100 a day.
See, in statistics, we call that a correlation. Something we were talking about right before we started shooting is that these are issues of employment opportunities, right? It not obviously, from a breakdown point of view, we're talking about actors, but this is an issue in the writer's room, in the producer's room, So talk about some of the work that you're doing and what you've been thinking about in terms of that.
There's a lot of conversation that starts at who gets to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a debate about like, well, if a person can tell it carefully and well, then what's the problem? And from an art point of view, writers write whatever the hell you want.
Right.
From when I start to zoom out into a producer point of view, though, I start to think like, okay, but who is getting all the writing jobs? Who are, for theater, who are all the theater slots going to? For a writer's room, what is the breakdown of that writer's room? So at a certain point, is what you're telling me that white people are better at telling non-white stories than non-white people are themselves? So for me, the conversation around authenticity and who gets to tell a story, or this person is really empathetic. At the end of the day, to me, that's, while an interesting conversation and certainly a great one to have about art, does absolutely nothing to shift the needle in terms of ending racism.
Yeah. So
I feel like as artists, most of us are interested in ending racism, and yet we get sidelined by these conversations about, trapping artists inside only telling their own story. I'm like, that doesn't even need to be part of the conversation right now. It's so extremely unequal that, to me, that's a red herring, and it's a detour.
What work have you been doing now?
So now I have an organization called Pass the Mic. I'm running a study on how we might accelerate diversity inside of television writers' rooms.
Great.
There's all these programs that are so well intentioned to increase diversity. There's all these writers' rooms, and there's all these people that I talk to who sort of talk to me like I'm a dummy, and they're like, Maha, the solution is to just hire diversely.
Right.
So I'm actually interested in, why isn't that happening?
Yeah.
Because it is so simple. That's why I try to focus at producers.
That's smart.
And the gatekeepers and the hirers, because artists write whatever the hell you want.
Right.
I mean, and there are people who would even take me to task for that. Like, I have a much deeper thesis on appropriation and how artists should think about all of that and how to be inclusive in the creation of a work. But in terms of actually shifting a dial, I'm interested in the gatekeepers.
All right, well, gatekeepers, if you're listening, shift your dials.
Dial shift.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Take care of each other and be professional.